VxRail cluster may show a large amount of installed storage, but that does not mean all of it is available for production workloads. vSAN capacity depends on storage policies, redundancy, snapshots, data services, rebuild requirements, and the free space the cluster needs to stay healthy. If your team is only looking at raw capacity, you may be missing the bigger picture. Let's start with a fundamental distinction. Raw capacity is the total physical storage installed in the cluster. Usable capacity is what remains after protection policies, redundancy, system overhead, and operational headroom. One common mistake is assuming installed capacity is the same as usable capacity. In VxRail and vSAN, the usable number depends on how data is protected and how much free space the cluster needs to operate safely. This is not a small detail. It is the foundation of accurate capacity planning. Now let's talk about storage policies. vSAN storage policies determine how workloads are protected. These policies define failures to tolerate, whether you use mirroring or erasure coding, performance requirements, and resilience characteristics. Here is what matters. The right policy is not always the one that saves the most space. The right policy is the one that protects the workload properly while keeping the cluster supportable. If you choose a more aggressive policy to save capacity, you may introduce risks during maintenance, rebuilds, or unexpected failures. Policy decisions have consequences beyond just the storage number on a dashboard. Next, let's address data services. Deduplication and compression can reduce storage use, but they are not magic. Some workloads reduce well, others do not. If data is already compressed, encrypted, or highly unique, the savings may be limited. Do not build your capacity plan around assumed reduction ratios. Build it on measured results from your actual workloads, and treat reduction as a helpful feature, not a guaranteed outcome. Now, snapshots. Snapshots are useful for short-term operations like patching, testing, or brief rollback windows, but they are not backups. Snapshots are not free storage. If they are left running too long, they can consume capacity, affect performance, and create operational risk. A snapshot strategy needs clear retention policies, automated cleanup, and monitoring. Otherwise, forgotten snapshots become a hidden capacity drain. Let's talk about free space. VxRail clusters need free capacity for maintenance mode, rebuilds, resync operations, disk or host failures, lifecycle updates, and unexpected growth. Free capacity is not wasted capacity. It is operational breathing room. Without it, you cannot safely perform maintenance. You cannot recover from failures without risk. You cannot add new workloads without triggering alerts. Running a cluster at high utilization creates fragility across the entire environment. Here is where capacity problems become bigger problems. Poor capacity planning can lead to delayed upgrades, risky maintenance windows, emergency hardware purchases, slower recovery from failures, and difficulty adding new workloads. When capacity planning is weak, it does not stay a storage problem. It becomes an operations problem, a lifecycle problem, and sometimes a business continuity problem. So, how do strong teams avoid this? They monitor trends, not just today's number. You should be tracking used capacity, free capacity, monthly growth rate, snapshot growth, data reduction savings, and time to capacity risk. A cluster that looks healthy today may become a problem 6 months from now if workloads are growing quickly. Trending gives you lead time. Lead time gives you options. Options let you plan instead of react. And that brings us to lifecycle. Capacity planning should connect to lifecycle planning. Adding more storage is not always the right answer. Sometimes the better decision is to expand, refresh, or support the existing cluster longer. If the cluster is aging, support is expiring, or expansion options are limited, capacity planning should be part of a bigger lifecycle decision. Are you buying time with an expansion, or are you delaying a necessary refresh? That is a strategic question, not just a procurement question. If your team is trying to understand VxRail capacity, vSAN storage policies, lifecycle planning, or whether to expand, refresh, or support an existing cluster longer, Maven IT Solutions can help. Maven provides engineering-led support for VxRail, VMware, vSAN, Dell infrastructure, third-party maintenance, hardware lifecycle planning, and complex data center environments. VxRail storage planning is not just about installed terabytes. It is about usable capacity, resilience, performance, growth, maintenance, and lifecycle strategy. The strongest IT teams plan before capacity becomes urgent. That is how they avoid surprises and keep production workloads protected.